tutorial is going to give you a very quick walkthrough in the type of answer you'd be looking to write when describing the suitability or discussing the suitability of the 10K running route. So let's just have a quick little think about what the key learning outcomes are. The first thing you need to think about is the actual site that has been identified as where the 10K run is due to start, which is right in the center of Lincoln. Now, on the positive side of this starting point is that it's in the central part of the city. It's in the CBD. Therefore, the starting point would be easy to locate for visitors coming to Lincoln. It's also an attractive location because it would have the cathedral as a backdrop to the starting point for the race, as well as a castle nearby. Now, what you'd want to do there is you'd want to give the six-figure grid reference for the castle, for example, and you'd want to explain why having a castle near the starting route might be a desirable thing either for people running or for people visiting Lincoln to watch the run. Another key thing to think about for the starting location is there enough space? Well, if you have a close look at the map, you'll see there's very little available space for a 10K run to begin, especially as there may be thousands of runners converging on this location, and therefore there might be severe congestion in this very built-up area of the city center. So that would be another point you'd want to make about the start point. Another key idea you'd want to make is that there are lots of main roads leading in to the city center, so you could identify any of these roads to say that actually accessing the start location would be fairly good as long as you name a road and you make the link to, preferably an A road, and make the link to the access point. A lack of parking labeled on the map would be a downside, which might lead to lots of on-street parking in the city center and problems with traffic congestion. So that would be a negative point for the start point. Okay, now let's have a little look at the running route itself. I'm going to track the running route down using my cursor and pick out certain points, which when I identify them, you would want to identify them yourself in your answer, but you would also look to give the map evidence. So the route starts running southwards, and the first big challenge, what I would say would be a negative in terms of the suitability, is that it would have to cross the B1308 and then the B1003. Now, the reason it would be a negative is either it would be dangerous for runners crossing busy roads, or in all likelihood they'd have to shut these roads off during the event, which would create traffic congestion. Okay, and that is a point actually further down that you'd want to raise. Another issue as we move further down is that people would be running past a large factory over here, Works. That would be, if they're heading south, that'd be on their right-hand side or to the eastern area of where they're running, as well as a large area of what looks like inner city housing. Now, if you identify these two things on your map, you could say that these are not likely to be the most attractive bits of urban landscape to run through, and therefore might not lead to the enjoyment for the runners. Okay, if we just move a little bit further down, we get to the A1434 and then the A15. Now, these roads would either be closed down, or if runners are running along the side of these major roads, because these are major A roads, then there might be lots of traffic and noise and pollution, which might put runners off enjoying this run. And you'd want to identify these roads and make the choice about why this might be not such a suitable route. I would suggest you want to pick up this location because the contours are very close together, suggesting a very steep gradient. Now that would be a problem for certain runners running up that very steep incline, and might put a lot of people with less physical ability, the ability to run, and make them less inclined to want to take on this run because of the big increase in height, and especially for older runners or younger runners who might find that quite difficult. Okay, and of course you'd need to give the map evidence to support that point. Right, we have a green diamond kind of footpath crossing the road here. Now, this is a long distance footpath. This is what that green diamond represents. And obviously, during the day of the run, with runners coming down this road, they might have to close this path off, which might create conflict with walkers who are walking along this particular part of the landscape. Okay. You've got to think about the runners running past areas of housing, so you might identify this area of housing. You might say that that would create a negative, because there would be a day of lots of runners running past, which might cause disruption to people living in those housing, especially if they shut off the road during the run. However, you could do that as a positive social impact, because you might indicate that people living here might enjoy watching the run go past on the particular day. We then turn across this particular part of landscape. There's not much to say apart from here. As we're on higher land, 65 meters above sea level, and there's nothing, these are just fields. So it's going to be quite a bland landscape to run through, because it's an agricultural landscape. You can tell by the field boundaries. Also, because it's quite flat and high up, it might be quite windy. There's no trees or urban areas sheltering people running on this road here on the B1131. So that could be a downside. On a positive side, we've got a motel here. And actually also here we've got a small youth hostel. That's the red triangle. So these are places that people that are coming to do the run could stay. So anything that you can spot on the map that is evidence of where runners could stay for the night, either the night before or the night after the run, then that would be a positive reason for choosing this route. Okay. If we just continue on, we're then heading back up into Lincoln, and we pass a bus station and a train station. And now you might want to refer to these two particular features when discussing why the actual route is suitable, because there's good public transport links within roughly what is about 1 kilometer of the starting line. So it's quite easy to come in on the bus or the train in the morning of the run and walk into the town. It's not exactly all that far. There are a couple of churches to run past, as well as a point of tourist interest, the Jew's House, as well as the Bishop's Palace up here. So these would be things that runners would see as they ran. That would be a positive. That would make the route suitable. We also over here have a hospital within about 1.5 kilometers. So if there are any accidents or sprained ankles or some typical things that happen on a walk, then there's access to emergency services. Okay, so lots of evidence. Remember, every time you cite a piece of evidence and explain why it makes the route suitable or not so routable, or the start point suitable or not, you must give map evidence to support those points.